Pisces. Let's do a kind of rapid fire look at November and December. I want to kind of focus in on making more of a predictive tarot reading style video today for you, a little bit different to the kind of monthly check-ins I do for your sign. The reason being is I'm about to be 40 weeks pregnant, and Neptune has entered Pisces for the last time in our lifetime, and that's really just coming up to conjoin my sun again. And the last time that I was pregnant, Neptune was on my sun, and I was so on point in terms of like prophetic dreams, making predictions for clients and things like that. Usually my style of tarot readings here on YouTube will just be a little bit more about a deep dive into shadow work or kind of the evolution of the soul, and I like to go deeper with those readings, but I thought I need to use this window of opportunity where the veil is very thin for me, as I am on the threshold of bringing life into the world. And I wanted to, hopefully provide some accurate predictions for you guys. What are you going to be expecting to unfold this November and December? Okay, well, something jumping out to alert us to the Three of Cups. It came out in reverse, actually. So yeah, we'll think about the Three of Cups in reverse in terms of potentially, well, I mean, it's your inner circle, isn't it? The Three of Cups is sisterhood, it's friendships, it's tightness, it's closeness, oftentimes it's sorority. But in the reversal, you may feel a little let down by those groups of people this November. You may be very privy to gossip or some sort of like misaligned, kind of janky, kind of weird vibes in your inner circle. It might be just your inner circle of trust and kind of things like that itself that is under review for you. Three of Cups in reverse. It's an emotional energy, but it feels like the support is falling flat. Okay, so I have the Six of Swords, Two of Swords, Mother of Pentacles. Okay, in terms of travel, and I don't even necessarily mean like you're getting on a plane and flying far away or anything like that, just travel plans in general. Expect them to be a little bit hard to plan and pin down this November. Something that seems to be a pretty much, you do this every year, you take this trip, you take this route. Something that's usually quite bog standard for you is possibly going to be held back or delayed in November, where you feel like it's not even an external force that is like, a snowstorm or something like that. It's actually coming from within you. You're not interested. You care to negate a kind of offer to be social or attend this event or do something. So it's you that's calling the shots and saying no to certain travel plans, to visits, or to visitors even. Mental health this month. When we look at that concept, we're looking at a kind of a double-edged sword here in a way. You're doing by the book the right thing by letting things go, by putting down these swords and kind of allowing for the past to dissolve behind you. The sort of textbook approach of shutting down and building a sort of barrier around yourself may be deemed to be where you might struggle. But I don't know, Pisces. You are letting go of the past while dropping certain weapons or swords that might have been a little bit too vigorous or aggressive for the issue at hand, but you still seem to be keeping your guard up. You're really hoping for quite a significant breakthrough that happens for you in terms of whatever you've been dealing with, in terms of like your mental health and things like that. I think that you are anticipating or eagerly hoping that November brings you a clear answer on those trickier topics that you've been dealing with, a clear-cut way forward where you need to cut ties, what's the right choice, what you've got to do about it. And I don't necessarily see November being this kind of total like walk in the park for you in terms of like the answers are made clear. I think there is still quite a lot of indecision. I think the thing that you know how to do at this point, and probably is bringing you a more mental peace, is like the willingness to let go and leave certain regrets, problems, misunderstandings, or issues in the past. Even if you were the victim of something negative and undeserved, it still seems for you to be productive to leave that behind you, especially in relationships, like old relationships and things like that, especially if these relationships at any point felt like a prison themselves or something that was pretty difficult for you mental health wise. But yeah, November brings up a kind of a sort of a tough ultimatum for you, I think. Something that you might have been mulling over mentally for a while around, like, will I do this or not? And I think November seems to be the time where you have to make that decision, and it's not going to be clear cut. It might even, for some of you, involve cutting some major ties. But what you really seem to want from this is a break free or a major change. Moving on to the Mother of Pentacles though, when we look at your finances, we're seeing a really cushy kind of comfortable scenario in November for you. We're seeing a period of well-being and growth in your financial world, in how you make money, in loving what you do and how you do it. The Mother of Pentacles feels very safe, very well restored and nurtured and taken care of. Of course, you may see yourself caretaking another. This Mother of Pentacles or Queen of Pentacles, you may be familiar in another deck, has her little fawn by her side. So caretaking, looking after yourself and others could be a major theme in November, but not at the point or not at the expense of any of your, you don't feel burnt out by this, you don't feel taken advantage of, you feel, because you feel so well resourced financially, especially, or that like you're very comfortable in your place of living, like you've got a spare room where somebody could come and stay with you and you could take care or pamper them. And I feel like that could be going the other way as well. You know that you're being taken care of more and treated. And I think that this is linked to your financial stability, security, and maybe you're financially thriving in November, is probably linked to something like within, right? Like you feeling like you are worthy of being poured into. And that kind of brings me back to the Six of Swords and your desire to let go in order to achieve this more, I guess the rainbow looks a bit more harmonious after a stormy period. Let's say it looks a little bit more optimistic. I think that certain relationships, and I say this because I have the Lovers in reverse at the bottom of the deck, it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship you're ready to let go of, but something pretty karmic anyway. And that could be with a family member, of course. This relationship didn't really pour into you, and you are deliberating in November whether or not you should say something about this or address this or do something about this or talk to that person. And I think that's where you're fine. I don't think you get the answer in November about whether or not you should do that. I think that you're still really mulling over that. But I think what has changed for you, at least mentally, is that you really believe that you're worth more. In terms of your living situation, November brings about a time where things are very cozy, very nesty. I mean, I'm a Pisces and I'm expecting to do sweet F all else but like nest and bond and be cozy and stuff like that, hopefully. So Mother of Pentacles to me just looks like you physically could be thriving too. You know, you're just looking really good, you're feeling good. You don't have to work too hard, by the way, for this sort of financial comfortability. It's just linked to your sense of how much abundance you believe you deserve to be poured into you. Now let's look at December for you, Pisces. Okay, Pisces, I've had to sit back down to restart your reading with the December pull because my toddler woke up from his nap. So I was about to get into the month of December for the sign of Pisces. Quick little reminder to hit that subscribe button while you're here and interact with this video. Leave it a like, a comment. Let me know your thoughts so far, and let's see what's coming through this December for you. Moving to another deck, we might see some duplicating cards. It's possible. Okay, we have the Nine of Wands, the Six of Pentacles in reverse, and the Nine of Pentacles. So a continuation, I guess, of themes around, you know, your resources, your wealth, your money, and that seems to just be very important to you at the end of this year. When we see multiple nines like this in a reading, we can distinguish that a certain spiritual cycle is reaching its culmination. In the tarot, the court cards will go up to number 10, of course, and that's when the physical manifestation occurs, you know, the release, the party, the handing in, the unveiling, the sort of finished part of this journey is more obvious. But by December, even if that is not totally done yet, there is an element of this that suggests that, I mean, whatever you needed to learn about this phase of your life, this journey has been integrated now on a spiritual level. You might be feeling more competitive this December. You may be trying to kind of get the, what would I say? Nine of Wands, you know, the winning edge, the kind of like upper hand. You're just really pretty much not going to back down the end of this year until you maintain your position of strength, of being on top, of winning here. So this could be coming through in your career, in the arena that you work in, that you're not giving up quite yet, or this is not a time to back down in December. It's actually a time to really reassert your strengths and persevere towards your goals, because there is a suggestion with the Nine of Wands that you're really close to completing this. You know, you're close to the finish line and you're close to getting where you want to be. So the Nine of Wands is telling you in December, you're not going to be backing down without a fight, and you may feel more driven and motivated by, it's almost like you're looking over your shoulder to what's behind you in a way. Not that this is a caution around being more vigilant and watching your surroundings and your whereabouts, but you know, why not be aware of your surroundings and who you are vibing with, speaking with, who you're sharing with. It's more so that you're watching your back, so to speak, so that you can gauge your competition or how closely followed you are by the person that you feel, or the group or the company or the brand that you feel most kind of in contest with when it comes to potentially your career, your product, your business, and all of those things. It's kind of like you're watching your competition. You're ahead of the game and you want it to stay like that. And that means in December, it's not a time to rest easy. Keep up that momentum and keep applying the pressure to yourself in a way that feels so productive, because results are coming through in the month of December. So If you remember back to the beginning of this reading, the Three of Cups in reverse flew out of the deck, and it was speaking to this kind of, your inner circle not being very supportive, or this kind of a sense of gossip and mistrust, misalignment, and just overall a kind of uneasiness between you and those that you felt at one point definitely very close to and trusting of. The Six of Pentacles in reverse shows that the ordinary mutual kind of give and take here, and what works and what's like good for everybody, and kind of, it flows around and everyone's feeling like they're getting something and gaining something. It feels balanced. This is turned around to the point where in December there's something very unsupportive and for some even exploitative taking place that you're aware of. Now that may not necessarily, Pisces, be directly related to you. You could just be feeling like, okay, perhaps you're feeling like, I'm really the one pulling the weight here, I'm the one sharing, I'm the one putting systems into place so that, I can, in work, that everything runs smoothly. Or if you're in some sort of a course, and you're doing teamwork, you're really pulling the weight here. It could be coming up in your family life, your relationships. You think, I am the person here that is doing the most. There is a sense of depletion with the Six of Pentacles in reverse, and it could manifest in many ways. You could feel physically depleted in December, you could feel burnt out, you could feel exhausted, and it comes then with this kind of potential for this emotional response, like, I feel unseen, I don't feel like my efforts are noticed because I can't do much more. Or you could even feel just unequal in some way. And then you kind of potentially, it goes even further, like these people are, if you see, it's crumbs really is what they're being given. But if you were to, I suppose, from their perspective, and this is a karmic energy too, the Six of Pentacles, to me at least, from the perspective of, let's say, the people that look like they're begging here, those crumbs are as valuable to them as maybe this person's red expensive cloak is to them. It's all relative basically. So there's kind of like, to some people looking in at this, they would say, well, they're only getting crumbs, but to them, from their point of view, that's extremely valuable. So what I'm trying to say here is, in December, there's something that comes up around value in a way that you're supposed to sort of determine your value, accept nothing less than what you've determined to be your value. And I think you do that in a successful way, so much so that the Nine of Pentacles is a really rewarding, financially rewarding for sure, breakthrough that comes through in December. And I don't even know if breakthrough is the right word. This might have been building for quite some time anyway. And this kind of, like I said, the nines are sort of end of a spiritual cycle. So coming to the end of this journey for you looks a lot like being where you want to be financially, and in terms of your sense of pride and accomplishment, self-sufficiency, self-reliance. That is really, reflected in your outer world. This is quite a luxurious card, so you could expect to see December being a pretty bougie month, and in terms of where you're going, where you're eating, where you're being hosted, or who you're hosting, this has a kind of more decadent feeling to the month of December. And I think that you're just really going to be challenged by rooting out the areas of life and the circles or people that are in your world that reflect to you an old and probably inadequate kind of karmic loop of accepting less than you should, feeling unworthy, and feeling as though your efforts are not enough, when in actual fact it's almost like that's a projection of how, you know, you have this kind of protectiveness of those who are the ones that are exploiting, is a sort of hard word to digest sometimes, but the people that kind of take advantage of you, Pisces, or and not even in such a way that is so like, you know, well thought through on their part. It's just kind of been the way things have been, and everyone's gotten very comfortable and familiar here. So that's what's coming through. The Hanged Man at the bottom of the deck. You can expect some sort of a radical shift in perspective this December, where you see everything in a much more forgiving sort of way. As well as that, actually, for those of you who are interested in partaking in some sort of a transcendental meditation or some sort of an egoic death experience, driven in some way or another, that could be something that delivers a very much a kind of like akin to a spiritual awakening or another spiritual awakening or breakthrough this December. Okay, thanks for watching.